you might not have heard, but the best thing ever just happened. And this is something that I was hoping would happen, and I previously made a video saying that I thought it would never happen. But according to the New York Times, they are going to get rid of the diagnoses of Asperger's syndrome and pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified. But this doesn't mean that people who have those kinds of issues are not going to be diagnosed with anything. It's that everyone's going to be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which it's especially super cool for me because even though I tell people I have Asperger's because it's like a more simple thing to say, I prefer to say that I have autism spectrum disorder, and one reason for this is just that I have a PDD diagnosis and an Asperger's diagnosis, and it's kind of hard for me to identify which one of them I think is like accurate or more real, because I mean, people with Asperger's aren't supposed to have any speech trouble. I don't know, we're supposed to not have speech delay, and I guess I feel like there are certain social things I do that aren't exactly stereotypically Asperger's, so I feel like it has to be atypical autism. So then, I don't know, like sometimes I almost feel like it's easier for me to just describe myself by saying that like I'm young for my age in terms of how well I can take care of myself. So at those times I want to say pervasive developmental disorder because people don't like put all these Asperger stereotypes on it, and they just maybe perceive that as me saying I have a developmental delay, which is kind of easier. So that's a really long explanation of why I like to say I have ASD. And I also think like I used to sort of buy into this stuff that like I'm not anything like people who have an autism diagnosis and we're always completely different. And then like this summer when I interned at a school for kids with autism, like a lot of the kids were very different from me, but some of them were like just like me. And the truth is that when people think autism, they just think a person who can't communicate. But the thing is that that's like a matter of how much someone is functioning and how well they're doing. It's not a matter of what they actually have. You know, and if a person with autism learns to communicate in some way, then like, I don't know, they're still autistic, aren't they? They're not just suddenly something else. That's not a very good diagnostic criteria. They become something else. And for me, like when I really think about the difference, I guess I would say the difference is like people like me who don't need like sort of an official aid to take care of them and help them, and can usually pass as normal for better or worse, and people who aren't in that situation. But I feel like just the fact that you do things on your own, or pass, or don't do things on your own, I feel like that isn't really a good thing to base a diagnosis on, because it can change so much. And also, like, for example, high-functioning people might end up actually being worse at things, or like not being as smart or not being as successful as someone who is lower functioning but like is better at different things. So like I don't know, I feel like the idea of breaking those things up into two different things and sort of expecting people to always fit in one or the other is not very good, because I feel like there's a lot of switching around. I don't even know if I should post this video because I'm really talking out of my head and I don't know what I'm saying, but I guess I would also like to express why I think this is really good for political reasons, and I think I can just express this really well by reading you some of the New York Times article, which goes, in recent years, the diagnosis of Asperger's has become increasingly common. Asperger's has exploded into popular culture through books and films depicting it as the realm of brilliant nerds and savant-like geniuses. So, then there's Tony Atwood saying, well, like, we can't start saying autism instead of Asperger's, because if people are told they should be valued for autism, they'll say, no, like, I can talk, I have a friend, what a ridiculous suggestion. Well, I mean, that's a problem. Do you understand that, like, you should actually try to do something about that problem instead of just, like, working around it and continuing to say Asperger's so that people won't freak out because they think no autistic people can talk or make any connections with anyone? It seems kind of stupid to just accept the way things are. And like the whole pop culture thing really makes me kind of uncomfortable. I haven't seen the movie Adam, but I get the impression, I guess, that it's like this cute, like really brilliant guy who likes to dress up as an astronaut, and like maybe in the short run that like serves me well as a person with Asperger's. So like, I don't know, people aren't going to like be like, oh, you have a disability, this is so awful. They're just going to be like, oh, I guess you're just really cute and smart and you like to dress up as an astronaut, Amanda. But I don't really think that that makes things better for disabled people in general or autism spectrum disorder people in general, because then it's like a group of high-functioning people suddenly become like these media darlings and are seen as these really cute, special, smart people who have like these like splinter skills and shit, but like people who aren't like considered to be cute or special or don't have splinter skills and people who have severe disabilities are still not accepted because they haven't been put into pop culture. Like, if someone came up to me and was like, Amanda, like, I think you're okay because you're so cute and you dress up as an astronaut, but, man, when I see those people with intellectual disabilities and autism or, like, people with mental illnesses, man, like, I just think they're so creepy, but, like, you're okay. Well, that wouldn't make me feel so good at all, because first of all, like, I mean, I haven't always been okay, and what if I'm not okay someday again? Are you just not gonna like me because I'm not cute anymore? And also, it doesn't make me feel good to think that a small group of people that I happen to belong to is accepted, but no one else is accepted. And, yeah, that kind of bothers me. I would rather people say that, like, you should accept people with all disabilities and all autism spectrum disorders, and the idea that people think that people with autism don't have any friends and can't talk by definition is just kind of unfortunate, and it's just, do some friggin' awareness. Like, Autism Speaks is so into doing videos like showing how horrible autism is. Why don't you just make some awareness videos explaining that some autistic people can talk? Okay, I'm just trying to look for something else that's really unfortunate in the article. Well, Temple Grandin, who is not exactly my favorite person, because she thinks everyone is exactly like her. For example, she wrote this list of jobs that she thinks people with Asperger's are bad at, and she said being a cashier, even though I'm awesome at being a cashier. And I know this seems like I'm fixating on something stupid, but at the same time, it's like, why would you try to write an article saying that an entire group of people is bad at particular things, especially if your like ideas about what we're bad at just seems to come out of reading like the Wikipedia article on Asperger's and not even reading the whole article, you know, reading like the first paragraph of the article and then trying to apply it to everything and act like a genius, which is something that way too many people do. So Temple Grandin is like, well, like, the Asperger community is a big vocal community, so that's a reason to leave the diagnosis, which doesn't actually make any sense because the point of having diagnosis in the DSM is not for people's ability to socialize with each other, and also, fortunately, I think, sort of being in the Asperger's community can cause people to want to be part of the larger artistic and disability community. It was definitely for me, and I think it's a really good thing. I don't think it's like necessarily good to just hang out with other people who have the exact same kind of issues that you have. I think it's good to see if you can like apply your issues to try to empathize with other people. Although I'm sure Temple Grandin would say that people with Asperger's can't empathize anyway, because she wrote that on Wikipedia. She also says that she says pdd-nos, I'd throw that in the garbage can, but I keep Asperger's. And it's just like, pdd-nos actually makes a lot of sense. Like, the reason people get it is actually the reasons that I was just giving for why we should just have autism spectrum, but the reasons people get it is that like their skills are sliding around, or like they're really good at some things and not so good at others, and it's like really hard to identify them as being autistic or Asperger's. So like that's a really good diagnosis. So Temple Grandin, if we still have autistic disorder and Asperger's, then what are you going to call people who slide around if we have to throw pdd-nos in the garbage can? Like, I mean, Temple Grandin is pdd-nos, isn't she? Wasn't she nonverbal when she was a kid? Yeah, I'm not her biggest fan, but basically I just want to express how cool I think this is, and I think it could actually lead to better autistic rights and stuff, because they won't have the big like low-functioning, high-functioning dichotomy to use against us as much. So yeah, it's really good for that reason alone, actually.